let's field a question about revolvers asked by one of our fans. Welcome to the Patriot Training YouTube channel. My name is Clay Howell, owner and head firearms instructor at Patriot Training. The topic for this video is going to be revolvers. Do we like them at Patriot Training?
Why don't you like revolvers?
Well, my friend, just like you didn't reach out to us via the telegraph, technology has changed a lot since 1910 when revolvers were king. We like revolvers at Patriot Training. All of the instructors here shoot them, like them. I just don't recommend that you bring them to a class, and there's a lot of good reasons why not to. To be fair, a lot of the reasons people make arguments for revolvers these days are a bit antiquated, so let's dig a little bit deeper into that, shall we? Revolvers are no longer more reliable. This myth persists, but it's just not true. Every single torture test I've ever seen done within the past 20 years shows that revolvers fail way more often and way sooner than most modern semi-automatic handguns. Just not as reliable as they used to be. That myth started in the early 19-teens when the 1911 came out, and at that time the revolvers that were in existence were more reliable than the brand new semi-automatic handguns, that's for sure. Revolvers are harder to shoot accurately with. They have a shorter sight radius and they have a longer and more difficult trigger pull. Many times a revolver's trigger pull is 2 to 3 times the force required as that of a semi-automatic. So what you have is a shorter sight radius and a harder trigger to master, and that makes for an expert's weapon to be sure. Revolvers are not easier for women. Many people continue to hold on to this myth. If you can trust a woman with a driver's license to operate a vehicle with 87 buttons and switches, 4,000 pounds, it causes more deaths annually than firearms, then you can certainly trust a woman to operate the 3 mechanisms that exist on a semi-auto. When it comes to revolvers, again, shorter sight radius, harder trigger pull. That's going to be much more difficult for a young lady, especially one that doesn't have training, to master. Revolvers are harder to reload and take a lot longer to reload as well. Revolvers are not space friendly. Your typical snub-nosed 38 has only 5 shots and takes up as much or more space than a modern subcompact Glock, Smith & Wesson, or SIG, and those models usually have 13 or more shots. About the only area a revolver can claim to be better than a semi-auto is in power, and then only under certain circumstances. It is a known fact that a .357 Magnum and larger revolvers hit harder than your regular 9mm or .45 caliber handguns, that's for sure. And you know what? You're also sacrificing size in order to do that, as you always have to do. The fact of the matter is, not many firearms trainers teach revolver classes. Not many allow revolvers in their classroom. And the few that do offer revolver classes are specific revolver classes and also have a much lower round count. We're talking about 250, 300 rounds very often instead of 1,000 rounds plus for the semi-auto classes. Why? Well, because these teachers know that these revolvers are less reliable and more likely to have a catastrophic failure. And when a revolver fails, and it's not an if, it's a when, it's going to fail hard. It's going to be out of service for the rest of the class, and unless you brought a backup in the same caliber, you're going to be out of luck. One noted instructor recently posted on social media that he has been teaching classes for over 30 years, and every time there's been a revolver in class, at least one revolver has gone down. And that's a pretty outstanding statement from that instructor because there's experience speaking there, and this person offers a revolver-specific class, and this instructor also, their revolver class, has a much lower round count. There might be something to that if you think about it. So again, here at Patriot Training, what do we have against revolvers? Why don't we permit you to take those as your primary firearm for essential pistol? Well, it's not that we have something against revolvers, it's that facts are working against revolvers. We at Patriot Training want to set you up for success in your class, not failure. And if your gun goes down halfway through day one, that's not what I call a pleasant weekend. That's a recipe for disaster. The last point that we should discuss is the fact that a person who asks why we don't like revolvers is a person who has never had a training class beyond your typical hunter safety course or carry permit class. This person has not trained and is not knowledgeable in these things because if they had trained, they would have learned these things very, very quickly. And so to those people, I reach out to you and I say, you're not stupid. You have heard this from every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the gun store, at the gun shows, growing up with your grandpappy, all that kind of stuff. And that's fine. That's good. There's a lot of myths, though, that come from these sources. And I would like to invite you to a training class. Reach out to us. Say this is your video, and I'll send you a discount code. We want to get you in class. We want to train you up right. Well, folks, that about does it for this video. Did I miss something? Tell me about it in the comments. Do you have a similar experience or maybe one that differs? Tell me about that too. Am I totally wrong? Please tell me. I always like to learn new things. I want to urge you, if you like the material we're presenting, hit like, hit subscribe, click that notification bell so you can find out when the next Patriot Training video is dropping. And as always, I must remind you, you don't have to be a Patriot to train, but you do have to train if you want to be a Patriot. Take care.